Hey friends, welcome to What's Up on the EDHREC Twitch stream. This is a weekly AMA slash interview style show where we bring on well-known people in the Magic the Gathering community and ask them lots of annoying questions. I'm your host, Andy Zupke. Joining me tonight as my host is Gavin Verhey. Say hello to everyone, Gavin.
Hey everybody, it's so great being here with you tonight. I mean, when I was invited on, I was like, I get to answer questions. Great, I can do that. No prep work needed. It should be a lot of fun. Or I've been preparing my entire life, depending on who you ask. I'll give you a heads up. The reason we're a little late tonight is I've been having some connection difficulties, which is weird. That never happens for me. So hopefully it stays tight and strong, but if I vanish for a few seconds here and there, I really apologize in advance. Yeah, so thanks for being patient with us as we kick this thing off.
Yeah, we'll do our best to power through it if anything continues to happen. But I'm very excited to have you here, Gavin. First question, right off the bat, the big one, the burning question on everybody's minds tonight is, how the hell are you? How are you doing, buddy? You doing okay?
Doing all right. I'm doing all right. You know, it's a busy time. You know, I have a lot going on. I feel like whenever someone asks me that question, my answer is always I'm busy, and it's basically been that way for years. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's true for most of us. But between all the stuff going on with Magic, upcoming Magic cons, the sets I'm working on, all the Commander focused stuff I'm doing right now, I've got a pretty full plate. But fortunately, I love Magic and I love what I get to do. You know, I love it so much that I came home from work today and hopped right on this stream, basically. So, fortunately, I just really love what I get to do. So I'm doing all right. I've got a fun trip coming up this weekend. I'm gonna go play Magic with a bunch of my friends in LA, so that should be great.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, it is funny to be like, yeah, I worked on Magic all day. I'm talking about Magic on a podcast, and I'm gonna go to play Magic this weekend. But I just guess I really love this game. What can I say? You know.
We are lucky that you love it so much because you do such great work with the game. And of course, for anybody who's in chat who doesn't know who you are, why don't you just give us a little quick info about you?
Yeah, totally. So I'm a principal game designer on Magic the Gathering, but that title really is not that useful for knowing what I do. Basically, what I do is I lead sets and work on cards, so help design the cards that people play with. I have a specific focus on the Commander side of things, so I help run the Commander internal design group, focusing on general overview of like the decks we're making, what their themes are, giving advice on cards, although I don't make all of them. I do give a lot of advice on them. And then I also lead sets. I led design the upcoming Final Fantasy set, which I am very excited about. I cannot wait for you to see more of. And then on top of that, there's a million other things I do. I have my own YouTube show called Good Morning Magic you can go check out. I do a lot on social media. I go to Magic cons. I help run both the Commander and the Pauper format panels. So just a lot of different hats. I got a whole hat collection that I can reach and put on when I need to.
Excellent. And you do a great job at all of them. Man, you do so much, and it's exciting to have you here and talk to you about this game that we all love.
Well, thanks for all you do. Right? I mean, EDHREC is a site I literally use every day, multiple times a day for work, and is amazing. Like, what you guys do is incredible. So thank you very much for all you guys do.
Yes.
I think you all, I appreciate you thanking the guests, but really, we should all be thanking you. So.
Oh, stop. All right. Well, friends in chat, as I said at the start, this is an AMA show, so go ahead and start dropping those questions for Gavin into the chat. We do have a lot of people watching tonight, so I imagine there's going to be a lot. But if you could help me out by tagging EDHRECcast with your questions, I would really appreciate it. Just keep in mind, though, Gavin is not here to reveal any information about upcoming sets or cards. If you're really anxious for that information, just tune into Weekly MTG tomorrow, because they're doing Tarkir Dragonstorm kickoff previews. Are you going to be there?
No, I won't be there, but I was just going to say something that might be helpful. Usually the way I help frame it for answering questions, right? So I work on design, so I work on the actual card design of what the cards do. And the further away you get from that, the less specific I can be in my answers. So like, if you're asking about specific card design stuff, I can probably help out a lot. If you're asking about creative stuff, well, I might know the answer. I might have like some rough ideas. If you're asking about like how the coding in Arena works, I can't help at all. So the further you get away from card design, the less of an answer I can give until of course, you're totally out of Magic and then just into my life. And then I can tell you whatever I feel like. So anyway, That's what I got for question guidelines. And anyway, I'll let you take it from there. But there's also, holy smokes, there's like over 3,000 people in the chat right now. You guys are bananas. I did not expect this. That is crazy. I got to stream more often.
Yeah, absolutely. You can come on. You can come on every week. We'll be happy with that.
Sounds like a new show. I'm in.
So I like to always start off What's Up by giving our host a chance to give us your origin story. How did you get started in Magic and end up where you are today?
Wow. I don't want to take too much time to doing this because I know we have a lot of questions we want to get to, but my story is basically like this. So I started playing Magic when I was 10 years old. And when I was 11, I decided I wanted to go be a Magic designer. That was going to be my goal. And so I lived in Seattle. I grew up in Seattle. And I went to a local pre-release, actually, with this goal already in mind. And I ran into Randy Bueller, who was the vice president of Magic Design at the time. And I went up to Randy. I was 11 years old. I went up to him and I was like, all right, I'm ready. Hire me. What do I need to do? Like, bring me in, you know? And he looks at me really seriously. He's like, all right, kid, you're going to need two things. The first thing you're going to need is a college degree. And my heart just sinks, right? I'm like, oh, it's good. A college degree. I'm 11. It's going to take forever. Are you kidding me? But the second thing he says is you should be really good at Magic because we like to hire people who really know Magic well and could, go into the ins and outs of Magic really deeply. And I was like, well, I don't know about that whole college degree thing, but like a pro Magic player, anybody could do that, right? So I dedicated myself to going pro and college, and I started college at 16, and I started playing pro Magic. I qualified for my first pro tour when I was 15. I used my pro Magic play and like the articles I wrote and stuff to pay for college, and then I graduated when I was 20. And within a year, I was hired by Wizards, and I was brought in as an intern. And then over the past 14 years, I worked my way up from intern all the way to principal designer, leading commander, where I am now. So quite the path, and quite an interesting path too, because I have a background playing competitive Magic, but now I work more on the like social casual side of things, and that really served me well. I can kind of walk between worlds a little bit, which I find really helpful. And it's been a crazy path here, so I love it.
Awesome. Yeah. Wow. You graduated college at 20. You're quite the wonderkind, huh? What was your degree in?
People are always like, wow, you must have been so smart. I was like, no. I just really wanted to go work on Magic. I know I couldn't do that until I graduated college. So I started college at 16 so I could graduate at 20 so I could go work at Magic faster. That was really my whole goal. I studied creative writing. So poetry, fiction, that kind of stuff.
Me too.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. And I'd say it actually serves me pretty well. One thing that's pretty cool is I actually get to go a couple times recently, actually. The University of Washington, where I went to school, has brought me back to like do talks there as alumni talks and things like that. So it's really cool that I get to help inspire the next generation now.
Very, very cool. Big shout out to Crab Baskets, who gifted 20 subs here. Crab Baskets, you're a monster. We're gonna get to one of Crab's questions right away. What is your favorite breakfast food, Gavin?
Oh my gosh, well, I'm so sad to disappoint you, Crab Baskets. This is going to be a real downer because I don't eat breakfast. I generally try and eat for only 8 hours of the day. I try and eat between noon and 8, although I shift that window around sometimes. I love food. I love eating fancy food. I love eating things. But I'm on kind of like an intermittent fasting thing I have for many years. I also, and this one shocks people. This is like one that people will be shocked by. I don't drink caffeine. I don't take any caffeine. So I don't do coffee. I don't do tea, nothing like that. Which, if you know me and you're looking at me right now, you're like, how does this guy do what he does? I don't know. I just don't do it. And so, I'm not a breakfast food person. I'm not a coffee person. I'm not a tea person. But with that said, sometimes I will, end up at brunch for whatever reason. And my go-to is always, I like a scramble or a hash. Get some pastrami or corned beef in there, some eggs on top. Mwah, delicious.
Excellent. Let's see. Is Kraggles asks, what are some of your favorite designs of all time?
Favorite designs of all time? Holy moly! I mean, that's a loaded question,
right?
I mean, I think when you look at best design cards of all time, you got to go back to some of the classics. My heuristic for best design card is like probably very different from what you think is best design card, because I'm thinking like Wind Drake. Now that is a beautifully designed card, like 3-mana 2/2 flyer, perfect. You put that one in the Magic Hall of Fame. It's like a great design, right? You can. How many times have we just made Wind Drake with a slight change or whatever, but more interesting best design cards. I mean, my favorite cards are ones that you look at and you're like, I could never even imagine this. Like, how did you come up with this idea, you know? I remember, like, the first time I saw Doran the Siege Tower, I was like, what a crazy idea for a card. And that's the energy I like to bring to the table. But really, a lot of my favorite designs are just, like, the classics, right? Just, like, Grizzly Bear, Windrake, you know, cancel, unsummon, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Boring, but true, but true.
Now, on the flip side of that, about 3 years ago, you did a Good Morning Magic where you talk about 5 cards you regret designing. Any newer cards in the last 3 years that you would add to that list?
Ask me after Final Fantasy comes out, I guess. Any cards that I personally regret designing? Any new ones? But I guess the thing I'll say is that there's not like a specific design. Well, okay, I guess I'll use one design in particular and use that design as emblematic of a larger thing.
Yeah.
So I love Doctor Who. Like, I love Doctor Who, and getting to work on the Doctor Who Commander decks was a dream for me. It was really incredible. I loved it so much, and I'm so proud of the work I did. And the cards are so flavorful and amazing. But I think one of the problems I learned, and one of my big learnings I took from it, like every time I do a set, I try and learn and get better for the next time. And one of my learnings was sometimes if I love something and I'm working on it, I get a little lost in the sauce, you know. And there's definitely a number of cards in the Doctor Who Commander decks that I just got like a little too lost in the sauce. And I look back in retrospect and I'm like, what was I doing? Like, this card is incomprehensible. I think that perhaps the emblematic card for that is the Girl in the Fireplace. It's a saga which makes 2 different bespoke tokens. It makes a 2/2 horse that grants horsemanship, and a 1/1 with vanishing. The damage is prevented that's dealt to it. And it has an ability that is unique only to that deck called time travel. Yeah. I was a little lost in the sauce on this card.
I can't believe that didn't break Legacy. What? That's crazy.
Just doing so many things. In fact, this was before that time, but we have like a rule in R&D now where we're trying to make a card make 2 different kinds of tokens. It was inspired by Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Just watch people play with that card. It's like you have to have so many pieces of cardboard in your deck box. So unless there's a strong reason, we try not to do that. And this card is like 2 different tokens with special rules plus a weird new mechanic. So yeah, a little lost in the sauce on that one. Overall, like I said, very proud of the set. Really happy, but I tried going into Final Fantasy. I tried to take some of those lessons and get a little less lost in the sauce. There's a few cards maybe I did that with, but at least a little bit less.
Yeah.
You'll see.
Would you say that it's easier or more difficult to design for universes beyond as opposed to universes within?
You know, I would say that when you're working on a Universes Beyond set, the initial concepts I think are much easier in many ways because it sounds like it's constraining, but it's actually it really helps to have a place to start. Like, if you are writing, let's say you're going to write a story. You're going to write a story. I tell you, sit down and write a story. It's like, oh my gosh, it could be anything. It could be anything in the absolute world, right? But I'm like, okay, please write me an adventure story where the captain gets lost on a jungle cruise. Suddenly, ideas start going in your head of what you're going to do, right? And so with Universes Beyond, it's like, all right, day 1, I can name these characters are definitely going to be in the set, and these moments are definitely only going to be in the set. So it gives you a bunch of really cool places to start with your top-down ideas, where a lot of Magic sets start a little more, not all, like some are very creatively driven, but a lot of Magic sets start very bottom-up, right? So, maybe you have a concept of what the set is, like you're like, oh, Bloomborough, it's going to be about all these animal types. Sure, that's great. But a lot of the individual cards are like, well, this needs to be common burn spell, this needs to be common card draw spell, and so on. So there are 2 very different ways to approach it, and I love working on both. I love working on Universes Beyond sets, especially if they're things that I love. I love working on Magic sets, and there's a Magic World sets. There's just there's a lot of fun in both of them, I think.
Excellent. Aaron of Lockthwain wants to talk about unbans. What are the criteria you are looking at in terms of any potential unbans in Commander? Is it more of a consideration on how the cards have aged, or is it based on their previous reputation?
Yeah, well, first of all, we're in the middle of talking about a bunch of stuff right now in the Commander group, and I just speak for myself, right? The whole group is still talking, and we have no firm conclusions yet. So, I mean, I couldn't even tell you what we're going to do because we don't have a 100% sure thing yet. You will learn more in late April. We're going to have an announcement in late April.
Mhm.
Um, I just it's kind of taking every factor into consideration, right? We want to look at, is this card fun? That's a good start. Is it fun to play against? If it's not very fun, maybe it shouldn't be a thing we should do. Do people enjoy the card? Is it beloved? Right? Do we want to have it in this format? Um, is it good? Like, assuming that we do what we say, which I believe we're going to, and which is pull cards onto the game changers list. Does it fit the criteria for the game changers list? What is it? Is it okay if it shows up in a bracket 3 or higher game? All that kind of stuff we're going to take into account. So yeah, I guess you'll have to stay tuned to see what those are. And like I said, we don't even know the answer yet to what it's all going to be, but we're actively talking about all kinds of stuff involving the bracket system. I will say, for anyone out there curious, and I'm sure there's other questions too. I mean, it's funny. I actually meant to make a post on Blue Sky about this today, but today got too busy. Overall, the bracket system is going really great for us. Like, a lot of our metrics are looking really positive. Both the feeling on social, the Chicago, we had a survey after Chicago, and the feedback was overall very positive. A lot of creators have talked about how good it is. On Magic Online, about half of all matches are using brackets. On Spell Table Bot, the tons and tons and tons of matches. I don't remember the exact number. I think it's like 80% of matches are using brackets. So like, it's really taken off well for us. There's a lot of refinement we want to do. There's a bunch of things on our list. Like, we've heard your feedback of, let's try and differentiate the brackets a little bit more. Let's maybe add some more game changers, all that kind of stuff. But overall, like, the structural framework has been really, really great for us. So I'm really excited about that framework, and then making some tweaks to move it out of beta.
Yeah, I could tell you that it was part of the conversation in many of my games at MC Chicago, and I actually felt kind of bad because I wasn't prepared for it. Like, I didn't know what all my decks were. I couldn't remember how many game changers I had, but it definitely led to good conversations in the pregame. So it seems to be working good so far.
Here's the thing about it. Here's the real thing. I don't care if you use the bracket system or not.
Mm-hmm.
What I care about is that you have a good game of Commander, right? The whole goal is for you to have a good game of Commander. And what I witnessed in Chicago, and by talking to people, and just, around in the world, is people, like, I witnessed this in Chicago. It was a really amazing moment. I saw people sit down at a table, and one person's like, hey, my deck's bracket 2. What are your decks? Another guy's like, well, I have no idea what that even means, but hey, here's what's going on in my decks. And that's perfect to me. That's a huge win, because it just gets that conversation going. And if you guys are talking before the game even starts, and you're having that chat, I don't care whether it's brackets or not, but as long as you're doing what you need to get the right decks to the table, it's great. And I think a lot of folks were just like not doing this kind of pregame conversations, and now I've seen a lot more of that. And I think one of our other biggest goals was just to create more vocabulary for people to use. So having the bracket structure and the game changers list, I think this gives people a lot more words to use when they're talking about what kind of game they want to play, which is really, really awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. People in chat, make sure to tag EDHRECast so I can see those questions more easily for Gavin. Double Enterprises has a question that I was planning to ask you myself. Outside of Magic and D&D, what are your favorite games that you play regularly? And it can be either tabletop or digital.
All right, well, I'll first start with my favorite games of all time, besides Magic, because I think that's just interesting. My favorite games of all time are actually mini Final Fantasy games, but my number one non-Magic favorite game is Chrono Trigger. That is like an all-time great RPG. If any of you out there have played it, it is amazing. I love, love, love that game. I can't recommend it enough. Also, funnily enough, by Square Enix, so that's great. But then outside, today, like the game I played the most besides Magic, and I play tons of Magic between real life, arena, and everything else, is Teamfight Tactics by Riot Games. I really enjoy that game. It's got a great mix of drafting, and it's like real-time drafting, set collection. It's a lot of fun. And I actually visited some of their big events. I went out to Macau for their big event last year. So I have a lot of fun going and trying out different games. I love seeing what other companies are doing. And I'm a gamer, so I'm always playing games.
Absolutely. Let's see, we got Elephos in the chat asking, I know who this is, are we ever going to get a borderless warp world? Elephos is trying to be the villain.
Unlikely.
You heard it here first, friends. Not happening.
I would say that it is, if it were to happen, it would probably be for a meme, like a Secret Lair style meme,
Oh yeah.
that's where I see it good happening, right? Secret Lair loves that kind of stuff. Maybe someday, we'll see. I love the idea of textless cards that have too much text on them, although then that has real gameplay implications, so who knows?
Absolutely. Excellent. Let's see. Levi Stev MTG. Is there any way for the bracket system to account for deep kindred synergy in zombies, elves, etc.? Some of those cards create massive power shifts without qualifying as game changers.
Yeah, so let me talk about this for a second. This is a great, great question. So I think overall, like, so I'm really happy with the bracket system, and I'm overall happy with the rollout. But I'd say our biggest mistake, the thing we did the most wrong, and is unfortunate, I think, is that, especially with the original infographic that was in the stream and kind of the way the information rolled out, where we streamed before the article went up, is people started looking at it as like, these are the rules you must follow for your deck to be tagged this way, as opposed to let's look at the intent of the deck before we play. Because and this will be in whatever the article is when it comes out in late April, the number one thing at the top in underlined with bolded font and whatever will be the most important thing is intent still. It is not follow these rules and you'll find out what your brackets are. Like, I can build a deck that is technically bracket 2, but plays at an extremely high power level if I want to. Mm-hmm. There's always some intent involved. And so with a really strong Kindred deck, you need to figure that out a bit for yourself, right? The way we built the system is you can always bracket up, you just can't bracket down. Of course, you can always rule zero conversation, but you can always bracket up. So if you have the best possible Goblins deck you could ever imagine making, it's probably not a bracket 2 deck. And that's on you a little bit to be able to understand that and speak that to people. Now, it's not perfect, right? It is not a perfect science, but it's still, I think, is a lot better than what we had before. And I think if you sit down at a table and you're like, hey, I have this Goblins deck that is a totally optimal Goblins deck, that'll tell the other people a lot about what you're bringing to the table and what to expect.
Excellent. Deserted Beach wants to know if there's a chance for a Nadu errata in the future to, quote, free the bird.
I think that bird has left the cage, as it were. That bird has long left the cage. You know, we printed it. It's banned. It's gone. Let's not try and ever look at that text box again. Let's just hurl every copy of Nadu into the sun and call it good. You know.
Agreed. Some guy named Mathimus55 asks, when are we getting Gavin's pasta ranking?
Right now, maybe. I don't know. I mean, pasta. I do love pasta. High up. I mean, are we talking about pasta shapes or pasta sauces or kinds?
Pasta
Like, what's the
shapes? I think is what he's.
Pasta shapes. Well, I love gnocchi. Gnocchi is pretty high up there for me. I just love normal, like, sassarese, like kind of spaghetti stuff. But you have to give me a list. Like, it's hard to rank it without without a list of all the pastas you want me to do. I don't care if you say gnocchi's not pasta. I'm calling it pasta. That's how it works, man. I don't know what to tell you. I'm an American.
I agree. Triple Sevens comes here every week to ask the same question of our guests. And that question is, what's your favorite sandwich?
Ooh, I'll tell you my favorite sandwich is. Well, I have two favorite sandwiches. The first one, give me a pastrami sandwich from Katz's Deli in New York City. It is amazing. Best pastrami I've had in my life. Katz is amazing. If you're there, you got to go. So good. And then the other one is there's a local place called Salumi. They actually play Magic there every Monday, which is kind of cool. And they, I love their Finocchio salami sandwich with mozzarella and their like homemade like spread on it. Oh, delicious. Just the best.
Excellent. That all sounds delicious to me. Elder Rage Mage wants to know, what has surprised you the most about the new bracket system so far?
What has surprised me the most? There's a number of things that have surprised me. I mean, besides the initial rollout thing and people focusing more on the rules, which wasn't a total surprise, but it was good to know. I'll say the thing that I think surprised me the most is how much people focus on bracket 1 as like the lowest, I guess, calling it like lowest power level, or saying, hey, I want to make a bracket 1 deck that is like I'm lowest power level deck. When in reality, bracket 1 is exhibition is more about your play style. Like, do you have like a goofy deck? And so I think it really taught me an important lesson about, like, if you make a system that is 1 through 5, people will kind of always assume that 1 is the least powerful, even if it's more about like having. You can make a very weak deck that is still trying to like that doesn't have a goofy theme, and it would still not be a bracket one. And it really taught me how misleading that can be. So we're gonna work on that. Maybe there'll be some new terminology in the end of April. That's one that pops in my head. I'm sure there's more that I could think of. But
Okay. Gavin, what is your proudest achievement as a Magic designer?
oh man, there's so many things that I'm proud of and sets that I'm proud of. I mean, I can tell you about how Commander Legends took 6 years to make, and it was my idea from start to finish, or how how Final Fantasy, it was just like this thing that I've wanted to do. It's like this huge labor of love, right? Like it's this game series I've played since I was a kid. But I'll tell you, one of the things that is most special to me is this card that you should probably never even heard of, called Experiment 5. This is a Mystery Booster playtest card, okay? So this is the first Mystery Booster. And the really short version of the story, because I don't want to take too much time with this, is I designed it based on this Halloween costume my mom made for me when I was a kid, called a bear snake. And I also illustrated the card. I designed the card. So I drew the card. I made the card. It was based on something my mom made for me. And then I got it into Magic. And then I actually gave the original art to her and the card as a gift. Now, I know the art is silly. It looks ridiculously, obviously. But it's a really meaningful thing to me because it's like a huge part of my childhood and bring my family, which has really always supported me in Magic, and giving back to them a little bit. So it was very special to be at the point where I was able to do that. The other thing I guess I'll say, the less me focused answer, is the Sheldon Secret Lair. Really meaningful to me. Like, Sheldon was a very close friend of mine, and getting to do that was incredible. I was actually at a charity event for the cancer group earlier this week, where they honored Sheldon as well for the Secret Lair, and it was really special to be there. So really an amazing product, one of the most important things I ever got to work on.
Excellent. What would you be doing if you weren't designing Magic? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, what I wanted to do as a baseball player, so I started playing Magic. So sorry, Dad. I guess I gave up my baseball playing dreams for make Magic cards. I also heard from a lot of people that they thought I could be an actor. I never took any acting classes of any kind. But I get that all the time. Like, wow, it seems like you could be an actor. You seem like you fit right into that. So maybe, but really, it's one of those things where, like, for most things in life, I can kind of figure out what I would have done, where the paths would have diverged. But honestly, I started playing Magic when I was 10 years old, and I'm 34 now. It is so hard for me to imagine a life where this is not the path I walked down, and I'm so happy to be here talking to you. Maybe actor Gavin in another universe is telling the same story, though, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean, knowing what you want to do at the age of 11 and then actually doing it, I mean, that's not a typical story for everybody. So that's, you're living your dream, so that's got to be very exciting.
Yeah, it's very special. Very special. And, I think that's why I love doing what I do so much, because I feel so, like, honored. And a word I like to use a lot, and we use a lot in game design, is stewardship. That's what I feel like when it comes to Magic, right? We are stewards of Magic. We will not be working on this game forever. It will outlive us. That is our goal. But we are here for a while to make it the best game we can. And someday, far in the future, we will retire, and it will still be there, and our kids can play it and everything else. So we are stewards of it in the same way that you have stewards of, like, an art gallery or something. So I think about that a lot.
What advice would you give to somebody who wants to become a Magic designer like you?
Yeah. Well, my story is very unique, as I shared earlier. But if you want to be a Magic designer, here's what I would try and do. I would first devour everything about design you can. Read all of Rosewater's articles; they're really good. Listen to his podcast. And I have two big pieces of advice. One is just make a game. Like, you will learn so much by making a game. It is crazy how much you will learn by making a game. So try making a game, play testing, iterate, getting feedback on a board game of some kind. That's really useful. And then number two is build a Magic cube. I find cubes as, like, the best one-to-one analog for building a Magic set, because building a Magic set and building a cube are very similar in a lot of ways. Just a cube has all cards that already exist. So really, try building a cube. Try picking a unique theme, building a cube. That is very akin to Magic design. And in fact, so one thing that's eternally frustrating is we are not allowed to look at fan-submitted designs, right? If you want to tell me a Magic card, you can't show it to me. I'm sorry, I can't take a look at it. Those are the legal rules. But I can look at cubes of existing cards all day long. So if you want to show off your prowess as a designer, a great thing to do is have a cube on your resume ready to show, so I can take a look at it. Finally, the last thing I'll say is just apply to our jobs online. Like, literally, we post jobs all the time, not for game design necessarily, but anybody at Wizards has the chance to come in, playtest Magic, critique cards, make cards, all that kind of stuff. So really, just getting in at Wizards, you have a chance to come work on Magic. So that's pretty cool.
Excellent. Naj asks, did your grassroots spearheading of the overextended format contribute to your hiring slash internship at WotC?
Yeah, directly. So the story there is basically imagine a time before modern. I know it sounds weird, but imagine a time before modern. I had this idea of what if there was a format between legacy and standard. There was a format at the time called extended that no one really played. It was played basically only for like PTQs, then people kind of stopped playing it. It was a rotating eternal format. And I had this idea of a format that went in between. Now, notably, at the same time that I was working on this, Wizards was working on Modern, and we basically randomly launched them in parallel and learned from both of them. And my work on that directly contributed to me getting noticed by Tom Lapelli and several others, and picked up to be an intern at Wizards.
Very cool. Eric asks, do you have a card you feel is not great for the health of Magic, but you enjoy playing with it anyway?
Yeah, there's probably a long list of those. I guess I'll give the very easy answer for me, which is Skull Clamp. I think Skull Clamp is one of the all-time worst cards for Magic ever created. It stymied Magic's growth in really brutal ways. Like Magic was booming, and then it really killed off play for a while because of how strong it was. It's just so absurdly strong. I mean, you all are Commander players probably. You might have not played Standard at the time, and you know how strong Skull Clamp is. Take a moment and realize you could put 4 of them in a deck. You could regularly double and triple Skull Clamp your creatures. It was absurd. It was absolutely deranged how strong that card was. With that said, me personally, I love Skull Clamping my creatures. I'll play it in Cube, I'll play it in Commander. It's a very powerful Magic card. Do I wish it had never been printed? Yeah, but I'll happily put it in a deck.
Sure. I think a lot of us would probably say Smothering Tithe is is one that we all love playing, but we all know that we kind of don't really like it because it just, it gets out of hand in a game for whoever has it, right?
Yeah, I'm not a Smothering Tithe fan over here.
Deserted Beach asks, do you like Haunt as a mechanic? Do you think it's easier to handle now that there are a lot more interactions with the Exile Zone?
I have probably tried to make more Haunt cards than almost anyone else in R&D since I started at Wizards. So I've tried many times. I did get one made, by the way. I got Kaya Ghost Haunter from Mystery Booster 1. I got that card made. I tried to do this as a whole mechanic at one point where you could like haunt creatures kind of like auras, and like imagine a creature that when it dies you haunt something and then it's like haunted creature gets +2/+2, like a slow bestow or something like that. Anyway, it never worked out. Maybe someday. But I did get Kaya a Ghost Haunter into a set, and that's my little haunt contribution right there.
Excellent. Infinite Tokens is here. Hello, Megan. She asks, do you have any overly vague hints about any card designs you're excited about but not released yet? Overly vague is what we're looking for.
There's a card in a set that I'm working on right now that does something no Magic card in history has ever done. So that's all I'll say about that. But
that is incredibly vague, but also very exciting.
I think it's really amazing that we're 30 plus years into this game's history, and we're still finding new things you've never seen before put on cards. So yeah, you'll know this card when you see it. I'll tell you in years from now, it's a wacky one. Absolutely. If it survives, which who knows, maybe it won't.
Let's hope so. I'd like to see it. And I'd like to know what it is when it gets revealed. So you'll have to let us know which card you were referring to when we see it. Let's see. Looking for more questions here. X-Dread asks, hey Gavin, will there be any, quote, under review list for cards getting banned or even put on the Game Changers list before the update comes out?
Well, hello there, X-Dread. When the update happens, we're not gonna have like anything pre that. The update will be the thing. But what we have said is we are not banning any cards in that update. We are only at most doing unbans. So you don't have to worry about your favorite card in your favorite deck getting banned out from under you. We do want to be very careful and make sure that we give plenty of like telegraphing of what we're thinking about and talking about when it comes to card bans in the future. So I've said multiple times, no unbans in this, no bans in this update. Only potentially unbans. So your whatever your favorite pet card is safe.
Okay. JJ Mickey says, what is the pride and joy of your personal collection?
Wow, that's a great question. Well, here, I'll show you something kind of cool. 1 second. These are pretty special. These are my all my Heroes of the Realm cards
Oh
that
yeah.
I've gotten over the years. So I have my collection of all of them right here. These are very special cards that are given to Wizards employees. They don't actually have a Magic card back. The card back looks like this.
Okay.
But you know, of course, if you want to rules over them in your commander deck, you can. And there's a lot of really cool ones in here. And of course, two that I'm really passionate about and proud of are this one, Svega the Unconventional, which is all about the conventions of Magic, and then Elusive the Given, which is all about the charity work of Magic, which are two things I'm really passionate about. And they're all especially special, one of a kind, because you probably can't see right here, but in the bottom corner they have my name in the bottom corner. So
Nice.
Pretty cool. Anyway,
so generally, about how many of each of the Heroes of the Realms cards get printed?
It just depends on which one. It depends on which card, because they're all given to people that worked on that project. And so if you worked on that project, you get one. So some are a ton, some are very small runs. Just depends on which one.
Okay. Nick Nax asks, has there been any more discussion or any at all with the bracket systems about allowing Planeswalkers to be legal as commander? I bet you've never been asked that before.
Kind of my philosophy on what we're focusing on right now is I have like a roadmap for things that I want to talk about, and the bracket system and matchmaking and unbans and all that is kind of the first thing on the roadmap. There will be a time in the future where we talk about, you know, various commander rules and if there's any changes we want to make to them. Mm-hmm. But in general, my philosophy is like commander's working pretty well. It's the biggest format in Magic. It continues to grow. People love it. I don't think we need to do a lot in the terms of actual rules changes. You know, yeah, plenty of designers beat down my door all the time about, hey, can you make hybrid work now? Hey, can you make hybrid work now? Maybe someday we'll get to that conversation. I know there's very strong opinions. Chat, you let me know what you think. Do you want hybrid? Do you want to be able to play a white-blue hybrid card in a mono-white deck? You tell me. You tell me what you think. It's very divisive. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy just letting the most popular format in Magic continue to be the most popular format in Magic. But we'll evaluate some of this stuff as we go along.
Sure. Changey00 is asking a question. I'm not sure what it means, but maybe you know. They ask, Gavin, have you talked to Mort Dog from the TFT team about design? Do you know what that is?
Yeah. So on TFT, which is a game that I mentioned I played earlier, Mort Dog is basically the Mark Rosewater / Gavin of that team. He's very publicly visible. He announces all the updates. He's actually a big inspiration. I follow him on socials, and he's actually inspired me to do a lot of different things. Hilariously, I have we've DM'd each other. We've talked on social media. We've been in the same room together many times. I had dinner with most of the TFT design team when I was out in Macau, but I always miss Mort Dog. We're like ships in the night. He even lives in Washington State now. I always miss him. We haven't met up yet, but someday it will happen, and I can't wait to sit down and chat design with him because he's a really smart guy. What I would honestly, what my dream would, I keep waiting for someone out there to do it, and no one's done. Here's a free podcast idea for you, EDH. I know what you guys are missing is another podcast. It's getting 4 game designers from 4 different games to come on and talk about game design in general. I would love to get, like Ben Brode and Mort Dog and Rosewater, and you go down the list. But like that sounds like an amazing conversation. That would be a killer podcast episode. So there you go.
I bet a lot of people would listen to that. So I had one of my questions I wanted to throw at you. We had actually discussed this a little bit earlier, but I wanted to throw a hypothetical at you and kind of get an idea of what your response would be on here. So a while back, there was this rumor circulating about Elon Musk potentially buying Hasbro, which, as we all know, seems pretty unlikely. But I wanted to run it by you. And so let's say it happened. Elon Musk buys Hasbro. And then on day one, he gives a directive of no more diversity and inclusion in any of our products. Nothing in the story, nothing in the cards. So you can't put LGBTQ people in the story or cards, no marginalized people whatsoever anymore. We're going back to, we want to just do straight white guys all the time. So say that happens. Gavin, how do you respond?
Yeah, well, I guess first I'd say is, of course, I'll speak for myself here. I can't speak for my entire company as to what they may or may not do, and certainly I'm not at that level at all. Like I can't even address those kind of rumors because I'm not involved in that kind of discussion at all. But also personally is like diversity and inclusion is very important to me, and it's a very important underpinning of our game. You know, like our game welcomes all kinds of people. You walk into a game store. When I was a kid, I was 14 years old or whatever, walking into a game store with people 20 years older than me, people my age, people of all backgrounds, ethnicities, histories. Magic is a game for everybody, and anything that ever fights against that or buckles up against that, I will fight. So that's kind of my stance on that, and I'm really proud of the work we're doing at Wizards on that front right now. And our creative team is doing a phenomenal job. Our design team is trying to get all that stuff in the carts where we can. So we really care a lot about diversity and representation, and I would fight against anything that flew in the face of that.
Yes, absolutely. As people are saying in chat, preach. And thank you so much for having that standpoint, and for obviously you don't have to fight Elon Musk now, but hopefully you won't in the future. But we appreciate you having that stance for sure.
To quote my good friend Sheldon Menery, hate has no place here, right? So.
Absolutely. Amen. Let's get back to chat. Crust to Dust asks, do you want to see a lot of changes to the current Game Changer list?
Well, so here's the funny thing about the Game Changer list is that one of the things we were most careful about is trying to keep the list small, because it was a lot of things to take in at once, ton to take in all at the same time, and we didn't want to overwhelm people, right? If you see a list of tons and tons of cards, it's hard to figure out what's going on. And so I also worked with all kinds of different tools online, like Scryfall and EDH Architect, to make sure that like the moment we launched it, those would be ready to go, so that we could help make that burden even less. And I feel like we almost did I mean, this is gonna sound weird, but we also did too good of a job, because the tools were so robust on launch. Everyone's like, I got all these. What about all the other ones? And it's like, oh, okay, we actually we did it too well, which is a great problem to have, right? So, and also just humans are good at chunking information, right? If I give you 40 now and then some more later, it's a lot easier than 80 all up front, right? Not that we're gonna go up to 80 cards necessarily, but just the number off the top of my head. So we think there's a lot of room to add things to the Game Changer list. I still want to be really careful about getting too long, right? I mean, I think we can all agree that like a list of 300 cards is just way too unwieldy. That is not, no one's going to want to sift through that.
Right.
But there's certainly a lot of room to go up from like 40. Also, any cards that are unbanned we'll put on the Game Changer list probably. And there's room to add a few more cards. So we're talking a lot about what we want to add or tweak going into the end of April announcement, and you'll see that when it comes into April. But there'll be some shifting around. That's why we were in beta, right?
Yep, absolutely. 777s asks, has there been a design that you really liked but didn't make it into a Magic set?
So many. One of the favorite things about Magic design, is I put it in my back pocket and I'll find a place for it someday. There are literally ideas I had in my first week at Wizards that I still have unused. So like there are so many ideas. So do I have designs I like that you haven't seen yet? Absolutely. And I can't wait for you to see them.
Excellent. All right, Levi Stev asks, will we ever see a product that supports two-headed giant?
Well, I was the lead designer of Battlebond, so obviously I'm very biased here. Battlebond, of course, was the two-headed giant draft set. It's amazing. It's a blast. Go check it out. I hope we can do Battlebond 2 someday. That would be a dream for me, but that's not my call. So the moment that my boss calls me up and says, do Battlebond 2, I'm in. But until then, I'll just keep patiently waiting.
Excellent. Elephos asks, how do you explain Magic to people who don't play and or haven't heard of it?
All right, so you're two wizards dueling, and you're drawing up. No, I'm just kidding. I don't start like that. What I always say is that Battlebond is, it's not Battlebond. Sorry, Battlebond's on my mind now. What I always say is that Magic is like chess. It's like chess, but you get to bring all the pieces, right? So imagine you brought your own chessboard to the table, and you brought your own pieces, and you've got some weird king, and they have some weird pawn. They've got some piece you've never seen. That's how I kind of describe it, and I think it really helps get into people's heads what it is. I know obviously there's many different kinds of ways to play, and as we all know, form player multiplayer is like a very cool way to play. That's I think helps get people in the right frame of mind for what Magic is. And then usually what's interesting is I get asked, oh, is it like D&D? And that creates this really great framework. We're going to be like, oh, D&D is a storytelling game, and Magic is a like rules and strategy game. Let me explain the difference. So it's a great little intro to talking about those two things.
Yeah, when we were at the hotel at MagicCon Chicago, we were getting breakfast in the hotel, and one of the servers, asked what we were there for, and we explained this magic. It's this card game, and even after explaining a card game, she was still like, "So what kind of tricks do you do?"
Yeah. What an all-time great. I'll tell you an all-time great story right now. I think
Yeah.
everyone out there will not believe this. So there used to be a thing called the Magic Cruise, and I was on it. I had a great time. And the way the Magic Cruise worked is we were like 150 or so people on a larger cruise ship, so we had like our own little private room. And every now and then people would wander in, right? People would just wander in because they see a room and they walk in and see what's happening. And it's between rounds, and Kibler is there, and he's between rounds, and I'm like there watching him or whatever. And this guy wanders in. He's like, he's a little bit older. He doesn't really know. He's clearly not a Magic guy. We haven't seen him all weekend. And he wanders in, and he's like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And Kibler's like, "Oh, we're like doing the card thing." And he's like, "Oh, like what kind of thing?" And he's like, "Oh, well, we all play this card game called Magic the Gathering." And the guy just starts laughing. And it's like, "What? What do you mean? What do you mean?" And we're like, "Why are you laughing?" And he's like, "Well, the thing you have to understand," the old guy says, "is I'm the ship's magician. And people always think I'm a Magic the Gathering player. And I have to tell them, no, I do magic tricks." So he's living the exact opposite life as every one of us, right? Because that is what people think every time I tell them. I cannot believe there was a guy that was the case. That was absolutely crazy. So, just to know, there's for every one of you, there's an alternate version of you who's a magician out there who is having the exact opposite problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you done any recent Magic cruises? Do you do that anymore, or are you
No. I mean, the Magic Cruise and the incarnation that I enjoyed and was a part of died off. I think it's the company that ran it still running it, but Steve Port, who used to run them, no longer does. I do go on this thing called the Joko Cruise every year, which I do a bunch of Magic stuff on. I just like run some Magic events, and that was 2 weeks ago, so it just happened, which was a lot of fun.
Where does that cruise go to?
This year it went out of Florida through the Caribbean, but next year it's coming out of San Diego through Mexico. It's great. I can't recommend it enough. It is like a 7-day long build your own vacation. It's got like a whole gaming track with a 24/7 board game library. It has live concerts. This year They Might Be Giants was on there, which was really fun.
Wow.
There's entertainment every night from all kinds of comedians and guests. Also, if you just want to sit by the pool and drink a fruity drink, you can do that too. It is an amazing time. This is my 10th one, and that says a lot because I actually don't like cruises very much. So the fact I've gone to 10 of these because the community is so good is pretty special. So I think they're like 98% sold out for next year. So if you want to go, hop on fast. It is a really special time, and there'll be some magic for you too. So
Excellent. Now we have hit an hour. Are you okay?
People in the chat are talking about They Might Be Giants. Fun fact, one of the guys that works with They Might Be Giants is actually a huge Magic player and was there on the cruise. So we got to talk Magic together. Matt Flood, shout out to you if you're out there. He's a good dude. Sorry, go ahead.
No problem. So we have hit 1 hour. Are you okay with us keeping going a little bit here?
Yeah, I can give you 10 more minutes. So I can go to 8:10, but then I do have a hard out and I got to run. I know we started a little bit late, so let's give you 10 more minutes here.
No problem. Thank you so much, Gavin. Pat Crack Fever asks, in your opinion, which Magic card would make the best name for a wrestling finisher besides Skull Clamp?
You Are Already Dead. Great wrestling finisher. Perfect.
Excellent answer. Infinite Tokens asks, do you have a favorite unknown card you've made?
Ooh. Oh, I have so many of them. Oh, man. Jeez. The unknown cards are so fun. I think one of my favorites, I think the one that everyone here will appreciate. There's one I made called My Deck is a 7, and it says choose a number between 6 and 8. It deals that much damage to the target creature, which I think is just very funny.
Yeah.
That's a little commander joke for you all. But now I get a bunch of bracket jokes I can make. So next MagicCon, pay attention for the bracket jokes.
Absolutely. Games Freak SA asks, what's the strangest commander deck you've ever seen?
My Murph from, if you know Murph from Game Nights and Command Zone, he's got a deck I love, which is Zur, and you're like, oh, I've seen this one before. No, you haven't. It's Zur color changing. So you find like all these weird enchantments that care about color, and then you like mind bend them and magical hack them to mess up your opponents. It is hilarious, and I love it. Right? It's like, oh, I'll find Circle of Protection blue, but then I'll change the color to red to prevent your damage. It's so silly, and I love it. Karma is a real killer in that deck, so it's a lot of fun.
Excellent. All right, Matt Morgan wants to know what card/magic design forced you to grow the most as a designer?
Every set I learn something from, and sometimes you make mistakes, but sometimes you just make a set and you learn a ton from. And I think that honestly the sets the set I probably honestly I could feel like every set I learned the most from, but the first set I ever lead designed was Battle Bond, and that set really forced me to grow as a designer. I had to consider so many things I had never thought about before, put a lot of my skills to the test. And while now I look back at Battle Bond and I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that, no problem. At the time, it was a huge leap for me and a huge leap of faith for me. And it really caused me to grow a lot, that set, I think. So I could, of course, tell you any number of sets and the reason why. Final Fantasy, I could tell you all kinds of, Final Fantasy has been this wild project I could tell you all kinds of things for. Yeah, I'll say Battle Bond for the moment.
So are you just like dying to talk about Final Fantasy?
Oh, so bad. I mean, you have to understand, Final Fantasies, we've been working on this set for like 4 years. We've been working on this thing for so long and so many hours and life. And honestly, like, think about what you were doing 4 years ago. My life has changed so much in that time. And yeah, I can't wait to tell you all about it. It's taking a lot of restraint to not just tell you everything right now, but I will hold off patiently a few more months.
Excellent. Changey00 asks, who would you take on in a fight? A 10-foot Ragavan or 10 1-foot Ragavans?
Oh, 10 1-foot Ragavans. I'm definitely beating the 10-foot Ragavans, so I guess I'll try to fight all the little monkeys. I love bananas, so I'm unlike Mark Rosewater, I love bananas. That's in my kitchen over there, so I'll just throw them and see what I can do.
All right. Kel Chris asks, when Mark Rosewater lists a favorite anything, it tends to be the case that something unfortunate befalls that thing. Does such a trend happen to you? And if not, what's your favorite current game changer?
I don't know about this trend, but I feel like I should not pick any favorites. So that's my vibe. That's my vibe at the moment.
That question sounds like a trap to me. Maybe we should move on. It does.
Nice try, user.
Nice try. All right. So we've only got about 5 minutes left here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a lightning round where I'm just going to ask you a bunch of quick questions. Hopefully there'll be quick answers. But they're just get to know you kind of questions real quick before we pass it off to someone else here in the community. So, first question is, favorite movie?
Well, I give you a bunch of boring property answers, but one of my all-time favorites is called Once. It is a Irish musical film. It's about love, kind of, and I can't recommend it enough. It's also like 90 minutes. It's an easy watch. Go for it. Or my nerdy answer is Primer. Those are two favorites of mine.
Primer, wow.
But I'm a hopeless romantic, so I really love Once.
What happens if it works? That's the
yeah,
tagline for Primer, right?
Yeah, you know it. Yeah, it's the most accurate time travel movie I've ever watched.
How would you know that?
I can't. That's classified. I don't give it too much away. They know. No.
All right. Favorite musician or band?
Taylor Swift. I've seen Taylor Swift. I saw her open for Rascal Flatts. For any of how long I've been a Taylor Swift fan for, I saw her open for Rascal Flatts when I was like 18, and I've been to every one of her concert tours ever since. So huge Taylor Swift fan. My most listened artist, and it's not particularly close.
Well, all right then. Favorite video game?
I'm ready for the Taylor Swift Secret Lair. Swiftfoot Boots, Monastery Swift Spear, Wildest Dreams. I got all the cards ready to go. Just let me know when it's time, Taylor. If you're watching this, I'm ready.
She'd have to sign off on all the representations of her image, though, right?
Well, yeah. But yeah, we would make that work. Or you do like an Eras Tour saga where like each chapter is a different album. I just got ideas. Like, I'm ready, Taylor. Just call me.
Sounds like you thought a lot about this.
Too much. Yes, too much.
Favorite food?
Curry. It's literally what I had for dinner tonight. I love curry so much. I know it's kind of cheating because there's many kinds of curries. But my other favorite answer is also cheating, which is dumplings. So there's many kinds of dumplings. So dumplings and curries, sign me up.
Excellent. Last thing you ate was a curry. It was a Thai curry, right?
Literally, I ate it while we were trying to set up for this episode. So you saw me eat it in a frankly ghoulish, gross wolf down manner.
Oh, it was lovely. I enjoyed it. Thank you for that.
Yeah, just what you need is some mouth sounds, a little mukbang.
Absolutely. Favorite adult beverage?
Whiskey and wine are my two things.
Uh-huh.
I go to Napa at least once a year. I have probably, I don't know, between 100 and 200 wine bottles in my house right now.
Oh my goodness.
And at one point I was trying to be a sommelier, although I kind of decided to stop doing that, but I know a lot about wine. And then yeah, just whiskey neat is my jam. So yeah, those are my two things.
Tell me more about the whiskey. What kind? Bourbon? Scotch?
Scotch. I mean, I'll drink it all. Scotch was my favorite. I think. I have a pretty wide collection, and my friend has built a whiskey speakeasy in his garage. It was my favorite places to hang out. So next time you're in town, hit me up, and I'll show you some good stuff.
Excellent. Okay, last question. What's your favorite Pokemon?
Bulbasaur
Bulbasaur.
is my starter of choice. I love Bulbasaur. He's cute. What's not to love?
Excellent.
He evolves. You just don't evolve him. He gets only gross as he evolves. But Bulbasaur himself is great.
Excellent. Gavin, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure. Before we go, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you online and any events coming up that you got?
Wow, Dr. Skyclad, you know about Highland Park. That's incredible. A+ to you. Yeah, so my name's Gavin Verhey. The good thing is you can find me at my name most places. I also, of course, have a YouTube channel called Good Morning Magic where you can find me posting up videos there all the time. So go follow that. And other than that, find me at a MagicCon. Come say hi. I don't bite. Unless you want me to, I guess. That's a whole different story. But see me there.
All right. Well, too bad we're out of time. We can't talk about that.
Yeah,
you can find me.
I will say the fact that we have like 4,000 people here this whole time is bananas.
Yes.
So if you want to do another stream where we just like go for a few hours and try and get to all the questions we can, let's make it happen. Hit me up and let's find a time to do that. Because we only budgeted an hour for this, but it's clear we could have sat here for like hours and hours and hours. Yeah. So if you like that out there in the chat, harangue these guys. We'll see what we can do.
Absolutely. We'd be very happy to have you back. I'm Andy Zupke. You can find me on Blue Sky at Zupke, Zupkeep. We will be back next week in our normal slot on Tuesday with guest Eric Klug. So make sure to tune in for that because that'll be another excellent stream. And again, thank you, Gavin. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. Thank you so much. We are going to raid Steel City MTG. So everybody go hang out with them and say hi. Tell them we sent you. And take care, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
They are in for a big surprise.
Yeah, holy smokes.